5 beautiful years with Aaron led to a moment I'd dreamed of since I was a little girl. His proposal. He promised me the wedding of the century, and I said yes, with stars in my eyes and love in my heart. But fate had other plans. Instead of wedding invitations, I received a package that would shatter my world. The delivery came from Maya, Aaron's secretary of exactly 100 days. My hands trembled as I opened it, the silence in our home suddenly becoming deafening. Inside were photos, hundreds of them, that told a story I never wanted to know. Aaron, my Aaron, naked in bed with Maya. 300 pieces of evidence that turned my perfect love story into a nightmare. I collapsed to the floor, the cold hardwood against my cheek, serving as the only reminder that this wasn't just a bad dream. Just as I was drowning in my tears, my phone rang. It was Aaron, his voice slightly slurred. "I'm at the Howding Hotel, darling. Had a few drinks at the meeting. Could you come pick me up?" The irony wasn't lost on me. This was our routine, one he'd established to prove his faithfulness. Every business dinner, every social gathering, I'd be there to drive him home. It was his way of showing me I could trust him, that he'd never stray. The pain in my chest grew as I remembered all his detailed work schedules, his always answered phone calls, his constant updates about his whereabouts. He'd crafted such a perfect illusion of faithfulness while living a double life. With shaking hands, I carefully gathered the photos, tucking them away in a drawer where they couldn't mock me anymore. 2 hours passed before he arrived home, brought back by his chauffeur instead of me. The stench of alcohol surrounded him like a cloud. When I tried to help him inside, he violently pushed me away, slurring, "No sex today. My wife is coming to pick me up. Get lost." He stumbled and fell, and in that moment I stood frozen, my hands suspended in the air above him. The chauffeur had to shake him awake, and suddenly, Aaron's eyes cleared at the sight of me. "Wife," he said softly, as if nothing was wrong. He reached for me, not remembering his harsh words from moments ago, and as soon as we were alone, he started his usual sweet talk. "I'm sorry, my wife, for making you wait so long. Hey everyone, things are getting intense, right? Aaron just lost it at his own wedding, but this story takes an even crazier turn. Want to know if Cindy actually escapes? And what about Maya? Does she survive Aaron's attack? The next part will shock you when you see how far Aaron goes to find Cindy. But before we continue this wild journey, take a quick second to hit that like button. It really helps other people find these amazing stories too. And if you're loving these relationship drama stories as much as I do, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming up next. I've got to tell you, the ending of this story left me speechless. Just when you think you know what's going to happen, everything changes. Aaron's obsession with finding Cindy gets really dark, and what he does to Maya, well, let's just say it's not pretty. Share this video with your friends who love drama-filled stories. They'll be hooked. Drop a comment below and tell me, Team Cindy or Team Aaron? Or maybe you're thinking Maya deserves better? All right, let's get back to the story and see what happens when Cindy tries to start her new life. The words slipped from his drunken lips like a broken record. "Don't worry. Our time will come. I'll give you that dream wedding, make you the happiest bride in the world." These promises, once sweet as honey, now tasted like poison in my mouth. I turned away, fighting the bile rising in my throat. Aaron noticed my reaction, confusion clouding his eyes. Then, with an unsteady smile, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a jewelry box. Inside lay the infamous diamond necklace, the one that had made headlines across S-City during its auction. Even in my state of turmoil, I couldn't help but marvel at its brilliance. Only one existed in the entire city, and somehow it had found its way to me through Aaron's hands. Despite his alcohol-induced swaying, Aaron's movements were surprisingly gentle as he brushed my hair aside. His fingers trembled slightly as he fastened the necklace around my neck. his voice soft and sincere. My love, you deserve all the beautiful things this world has to offer. My heart is yours, forever. I want nothing but your happiness. He pulled me into an embrace that felt pure and poisonous all at once, each second reminding me of those damning photographs. The pain hit me in waves, each one stronger than the last. Fresh tears escaped despite my best efforts to hold them back. How could he share such intimate moments with Maya while professing his undying love to me? The contradiction was maddening. Before I knew it, he had guided me to bed, his gentle coaxing lulling me into an uneasy sleep. Morning arrived with the scent of a carefully prepared breakfast. Aaron had laid out all my favorites. The sandwich without mayonnaise, he never forgot, black rice porridge steaming in its bowl, fresh strawberries glistening with morning dew, and perfectly fried ribs. The sight of such thoughtfulness only twisted the knife deeper. He appeared with a warm glass of water, ever attentive to my needs. "Drink this first, love. It'll help settle your stomach before breakfast," he said, following up with a kiss I couldn't dodge. His lips felt both burning hot and ice-cold against mine, leaving me completely numb. Seeing my stillness, he gently took my hand, leading me to the table like he always did. Just like during those days when I was sick with stomach pains, he watched me eat with unwavering attention and care. Looking into his eyes, filled with what appeared to be genuine love, I gathered my courage. The words felt heavy on my tongue as I finally spoke. "Aaron, your secretary reached out to me yesterday. What gift is she talking about, Aaron?" As soon as I mentioned Maya's gift, the ladle in Aaron's hand crashed into the soup bowl, sending tiny droplets across the pristine tablecloth. For a split second, his mask slipped, revealing raw panic beneath. But like a skilled actor, he quickly recovered, placing the soup in front of me and casually ruffling my hair as if nothing was wrong. "Don't worry about her, sweetheart. She's just being troublesome. I'll handle it." His words were smooth, but I caught that flicker of guilt in his eyes as he hurried to his study, phone clutched in his trembling hand. The confident businessman I knew was replaced by someone scrambling to contain a crisis. I followed him silently, pressing my ear against the study door. His voice carried through the wood, tight with controlled anger. "Maya, who gave you permission to contact my wife? What made you think you had that right? Consider this your only warning." There was a pause, and something in Maya's response must have struck a nerve because Aaron's rage suddenly deflated, replaced by a quiet, menacing, "You wait for me." When he emerged, I was already back at the dining table, playing the role of the unsuspecting wife. He rushed to embrace me, planting a kiss on my head that made my skin crawl. But I forced myself to stay still. It wasn't time to show my cards yet. He grabbed his coat, his voice rough with what I now recognized as guilt rather than affection. "Remember to finish your breakfast, honey. I need to sign some contracts at the office. I'll be back soon." The moment the door closed behind him, all my carefully maintained composure crumbled. My body shook with silent sobs, tears streaming down my face. Yesterday's photos could have been dismissed as elaborate fakes, but today's events confirmed my worst fears. The truth was undeniable now. My marriage was built on lies. Aaron returned that evening bearing my favorite cake, like a peace offering to an unseen god. The sight of it turned my stomach. Every gift, every gesture of affection now felt tainted by his betrayal. When dinner time came, I couldn't bear to eat. "I'm tired," I said simply, retreating to our bedroom where even the sheets seemed to mock me with memories of false happiness. Aaron slept peacefully beside me that night, his arms wrapped around me as if nothing was wrong. The moment he left for work the next morning, I threw his gift, that perfectly decorated cake, into the trash, watching it disappear like my trust in our relationship. Despite my upcoming graduation ceremony, Aaron maintained his role as the perfect fiancé with theatrical precision. He woke up early, prepared breakfast, and drove me to campus, fussing over every detail like a concerned husband-to-be. The moment we arrived at the ceremony, all eyes turned to him, the young business prodigy who built his empire in his 20s. Whispers followed us everywhere, painting the picture of a perfect couple. His eyes never left me, playing the part of a devoted man who saw nothing but his future wife. The attention felt suffocating now. Every loving glance that once made my heart flutter now made me sick, knowing those same eyes looked at Maya with equal intensity. I turned away from his gaze, forcing my lips into a smile that felt like a grimace. Then his private phone started ringing, the exclusive number known only to his inner circle. After the 10th call, he shot me an apologetic look and stepped aside. His irritation was clear in his voice at first, but something the caller said quickly smoothed his ruffled feathers. When he returned, he leaned close, his breath warm against my ear. "Honey, I need to handle something about our wedding dress photos. My assistant will stay with you, and I've transferred some money to your account. We'll celebrate with friends after your photos. I just need to finalize some details with the wedding planners." He rushed off before I could respond, his expensive shoes clicking against the pavement. I watched him leave, seeing through his perfectly crafted excuse. The man who once represented my future was now walking toward another woman, thinking his lies were flawless. Just as I finished taking graduation photos with my classmates, my phone buzzed. A message from Maya lit up my screen. "Come home. There's a surprise." My jaw tightened at her boldness. Maya wasn't just content with being the other woman. She wanted to claim her victory in my own home. I could feel her ambition radiating through those simple words, her eagerness to destroy what I had built. Maya's next message made my blood run cold. "Don't you want to see another side of Aaron? Hurry. I'll leave the door open for you." The December air wasn't particularly bitter, but I felt frozen to my core, breaking into a cold sweat. The usual hour-long drive home became a blur, passing in just 30 minutes. Despite knowing I was walking into my own nightmare, I had to see the truth with my own eyes. When I reached our home, the place where Aaron and I had built our dreams, I peered through the deliberately left open door. What I saw made my heart stop dead in its tracks, my eyes unable to look away from the twisted scene before me. They were everywhere, our sacred spaces violated one by one. From our bedroom to the living room upstairs, leaving a trail of discarded clothing. Then I heard Maya's playful voice. "Aaron, let's try the art studio." My sanctuary, my personal space. "No, that's my wife's place," Aaron protested weakly, but Maya persisted, her arms snaking around his neck, her voice dripping with seduction. "Please, I brought special supplies today. The lighting is perfect in there. You can paint on me however you like." I watched as Aaron's resistance crumbled, desire flooding his features. In one swift motion, he lifted her into his arms and carried her into my studio. In that moment, whatever remained of my heart shattered completely. I stumbled outside, barely making it to the curb before violent waves of nausea overtook me. I don't know how long I sat there, empty and numb, until Maya's message jolted me back to this nightmare. Her words oozed with triumph. "See clearly now? Your fairy tale with the wealthy prince is over. Step aside. I'm the only one worthy of standing beside Aaron." My hands trembled as I typed my response. "If you want to rise so badly, help me disappear. The title of Mrs. Aaron will be yours." Maya's efficiency was impressive. Within hours, she had arranged everything. A plane ticket, a study program under a renowned artist, all scheduled for the following week. Her haste betrayed her desperation to claim her prize. But Maya didn't account for Aaron. The carefully arranged escape plan never reached me. Aaron intercepted it first. "Why didn't you tell me about your travel plans?" Aaron's voice was gentle but probing. "The company's stable now. I could go with you. I don't like the thought of you traveling alone." I cut him off, my voice as sharp as ice. My mind drifted back to when I first met Aaron, 20 years ago. I was just 8, a scared little girl with an abusive drunk for an adoptive father. That terrible night, my father threw me into the river, intending to end my life. Aaron and his friends happened to be passing by. They pulled me out, saved me. After that, Aaron appointed himself as my protector. He and his friends would check on me daily, making sure my adoptive father kept his distance. His family even assigned a bodyguard to watch over me. My adoptive father, unable to challenge the powerful Fu family, finally backed down. Aaron had been my guardian angel since then. Every good thing in my life came through him: treats, protection, love. Our engagement in sophomore year felt like destiny fulfilled. If it weren't for Maya, I might still believe in our perfect love story. Now, as he whispered sweet nothings in my ear, I kept my eyes downcast, unable to respond. I feigned sleep to avoid the charade of normalcy. The next morning, Aaron wanted to show me potential wedding venues. I closed my eyes during the car ride, pretending to doze off to avoid conversation. He reached for my hand, assuming I was just feeling unwell, but every touch now felt like a betrayal. Just as Aaron's hand reached for mine, I shoved my hands deep into my pockets. His hurt expression was cut short. The moment the door closed behind him, the makeup artists and assistants burst into excited chatter. "Miss Cindy, you're absolutely breathtaking," one gushed. Another chimed in. "In all my years doing weddings, I've never seen a groom so in love." Their words piled on like stones. "You're so lucky. This wedding will be legendary. When you walk down the aisle, rose petals will rain from above." Their praise washed over me unheard. My smile felt painted on, as artificial as the blush on my cheeks. Deep down, I knew there would be no wedding, at least not for me. The envied bride, the beauty they couldn't stop talking about, would not be walking down that aisle. I refused to spend my life drowning in jealousy and heartbreak, trapped in an endless cycle of pain, even if it meant leaving Aaron behind. After most guests had taken their seats, I manufactured an excuse to clear the room. 10 minutes later, Maya arrived, her own bridal makeup complete. Her eyes widened at the sight of me, and I wordlessly handed her the wedding dress I'd already removed. She beamed, slipping into it without hesitation. "Everything's arranged," she whispered, her voice thick with excitement. "Your plane ticket's in my bag. I've booked several flights with decoys. Aaron won't track you down easily." She pressed a bank card into my palm. "There's $500,000 on this. Take it. Once I'm settled, there'll be more. Never come back." Maya's words were cold and final. "Now go. The ceremony's about to begin." As the wedding march filled the air, Maya disappeared behind a white veil. She lifted her skirts and walked out to meet her destiny, supported by the murmuring crowd. Her steps were steady, betraying neither doubt nor remorse. Watching her silhouette, I caught a glimpse of something almost childlike in her bearing. Perhaps she truly believed Aaron loved her too. In her mind, he wouldn't dare expose the truth in front of all these guests. His reputation meant too much. She probably thought that with me gone, the position of Fu family mistress would be hers alone. I didn't bother shattering her illusions. Instead, I gathered her discarded belongings and changed into her clothes, planning to slip away unnoticed through the crowd. Making my way from backstage to the lobby, I kept my head down, moving quickly, but at the doorway, my feet refused to move. Against my better judgment, I turned for one last look at the man who shone like a star under the stage lights. Aaron stood there beaming, his eyes fixed on the grand doors as they slowly opened to reveal the bride everyone had been waiting for. The room fell silent. Then the whispers began. "Something's not right with the dress. It couldn't be a last-minute alteration. Quiet. Look at Aaron's face." In that vast room of hundreds, every face except Maya's showed growing alarm. Aaron especially, his expression transformed as he stared at Maya, jaw clenched tight. "Why are you here?" he demanded, voice rough. Where is my wife? Where is Cindy? Maya continued her advance, seemingly deaf to his questions. What do you mean, Cindy? She asked sweetly. I'm your bride, Aaron. Before she could finish, Aaron shoved her aside. His eyes, bloodshot and wild, found the security guard at the stage's edge. What are you standing there for? He roared. What do I pay you for? Find her! Find her now! As the guard rushed off, Maya wrapped herself around Aaron's arm. Don't bother looking for Cindy, she purred. She's gone. This is our wedding now. Let's get on with it. Aaron went very still. His pupils dilated in shock as he processed her words. In one fluid motion, his hand shot out to grip her throat. The crowd gasped. Aaron! Someone shouted. Think of the guests. But Aaron was beyond caring. The color drained from his face as shock gave way to devastating realization. His whole body trembled as if the earth itself was crumbling beneath his feet. What do you mean? Cindy is gone. His voice cracked. What have you done? Where is she? Aaron's voice cut through the air like a blade. Look at yourself. How dare you compare yourself to Cindy? You're nothing but a shameless woman who uses her body as currency. His grip on Maya's throat tightened. Didn't I warn you to leave Cindy alone? I'll give you one last chance. Tell me where she is, or I'll make you wish for death itself. He swayed slightly, his grip on Maya unwavering even as her face turned purple from lack of air. Suddenly, Aaron's foot connected with her stomach, sending her flying across the room. As Maya crumpled to the ground, gasping, Aaron clutched his head, shaking it uncomfortably, a clear sign his recent concussion hadn't fully healed. Maya struggled to her feet, her voice raw but defiant. Stop acting so self-righteous, Aaron. Weren't you the one who raised my hopes? You cheated first. Cindy left because she discovered your truth. That's your fault, not mine. How dare you push all the blame onto me? Aaron's eyes blazed with an unholy fury, like a demon risen from hell seeking vengeance. The security team returned, shaking their heads. No sign of me. Something in Aaron snapped. With a heart-wrenching roar, he began destroying everything in sight, overturning the wine table with savage force. He grabbed a bottle of expensive red wine and hurled it at Maya. The sound of shattering glass mingled with terrified screams as the wedding descended into chaos. Guests fled in panic, pushing and shoving their way to safety. I used the confusion to my advantage, becoming just another face in the fleeing crowd. Aaron's rage had pushed him too far. His concussion, aggravated by the violent outburst, finally took its toll. Blood trickled from his mouth as his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed. Paramedics rushed in, loading both Maya and Aaron onto separate stretchers. I watched from the crowd as they carried Aaron's... Honey, please let me explain. What Maya said isn't true. I only love you. I never cheated. Don't believe Maya's lies. She's delusional. Please send me your location. Let me pick you up. I'm begging you, don't ignore me. I'm scared. Please. Each message more desperate than the last. But I couldn't tell truth from lies anymore. I stared at my phone screen, exhaustion making the flood of messages blur together. Among Aaron's endless pleas were 2 messages from Maya that stood out like poison. Cindy, remember your promise. You can't come back. Aaron cheated. He slept with me for a year. Now he wants to find you and dump me. I won't let that happen. I'll hold on to him until the end. Yesterday's chaos felt distant through the fog of fatigue. I didn't want to untangle the mess between Aaron and Maya anymore. All I wanted was peace and rest. With decisive movements, I snapped my SIM card in half and dropped it in a nearby trash can. At the hotel, I surrendered to exhaustion, sleeping for 24 solid hours. When I finally stirred, my head felt heavy while my limbs floated like feathers, my whole body soft as cotton. Maya's $500,000 plus the millions Aaron had given me over the years meant I could live comfortably. I found a small villa and made it my own, then contacted the oil painting teacher Maya had recommended. Strange how this foreign land didn't feel foreign at all. Instead of discomfort, I found peace. The memories that once tortured me stayed behind like distant shadows, and the chaos in my heart settled into an unfamiliar calm. I threw myself into painting lessons, losing track of time as colors replaced my darker thoughts. 6 months passed like leaves caught in a gentle breeze. Then came the day that shattered my tranquility. The moment I entered the studio, I felt it, a heaviness in the air that made my skin prickle. Teacher Liu's eyes held a weight I'd never seen before. Clearing his throat, he held out his phone. My fingers trembled as I took it, and my breath caught as the screen came into focus. The surveillance footage was grainy, but Aaron's expression came through with terrible clarity. He had Maya, skeletal in her hospital gown, pinned against a window, his hand at her throat. Half her body dangled over the ledge as his words cut through the static. "Last chance. Tell me where she is, or you have no reason to live." Maya clawed at his arm, desperate for air. "Let go! Are you trying to kill me, you madman?" Aaron's laugh was hollow, his eyes dead pools of darkness. "I can afford the consequences." In the end, Maya broke. Whether from fear or the certainty that Aaron would follow through on his threat, she gave up my location. She told him everything. The video's timestamp read just after midnight. Now, at 2 p.m, Aaron must have already arrived. I thanked Teacher Liu and slipped out through the back door, my bag clutched tight against my side. Home wasn't safe anymore. I needed to find a hotel, somewhere to hide until I could think clearly. But I'd barely stepped outside the teaching building when warmth enveloped me from behind, familiar arms wrapping around my waist with desperate strength. "Cindy," Aaron's voice cracked. "I finally found you. I finally found you." His grip tightened painfully. "Do you know how long I've been searching? 6 months. 6 months without proper sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I panic, terrified of losing you again. I can't even rest anymore. I've missed you so much." His words tumbled out in a rush. "I was wrong. Maya was just an accident. I promise there won't be another. Please believe me. Come back with me." He pressed his face into my shoulder, his tears burning through my clothes and into my skin like acid. "I've sent Maya to a mental hospital," he continued, voice muffled. "She won't ever come out. No one will ever stand between us again. Give me one more chance. Just one last chance. Come back home. I've had the wedding venue redecorated. We can have a proper wedding this time." His voice, that voice that normally commanded rooms and moved mountains, had become something small and broken. Aaron, the man who never bowed his head to anyone, was begging. But I felt nothing. No warmth, no pity, just a cold numbness tinged with bitter irony. I pulled his arms away and turned to face him. 6 months had carved deep changes into his appearance. His cheeks had hollowed, his eyes bulged in their sockets, and his once commanding presence had withered. The spirited man I'd known had become a shadow, but even this transformation couldn't move my heart. "No," I said quietly. "I don't want this. Do you really think that just because you've dealt with Maya, we can pretend nothing happened?" I turned to leave, but his grip caught me first. His whole body trembled, eyes wild with fear and denial. As I watched, Aaron, the proud, untouchable Aaron, sank to his knees, still clutching my waist like a drowning man. "Cindy, one chance, just one, for the 5 years we've shared, for when I saved you as children. Please, I'm begging you. This is the last time." Aaron's pleas drew stares from passers-by, their eyes burning into us. I stood firm, my voice steady. "I gave you a chance, Aaron. When Maya sent those photos, I gave you the opportunity to explain. You said you were unsettled, but then you pursued her. At graduation, you claimed to be busy, But you brought her to our home, our bedroom, my studio. My voice caught. Even now, some part of me wants to believe in you, wants to stay. But you protected me from that car accident, and when I was most touched, you were with her in the hospital. How can you ask me to forgive that? Every time I look at you, those photos flash through my mind. Every moment between you and her plays like a cruel film I can't stop watching. I can't forget, Aaron. We need to let each other go. Aaron fell silent, his sobs the only sound between us. I expected him to leave after hearing my decision. Instead, he stayed for 2 weeks, moving into the house next door, bringing food to my school each day. He acted as if nothing had changed, trying desperately to resurrect our past. Cindy, I made your favorite fried ribs. Eat them while they're hot. Remember when you were little? You'd get bullied but never say a word, so I'd storm into your classroom questioning everyone. In high school, I wished under that tree that you'd be my other half forever. When will that wish come true? His eyes always shimmered with longing when he spoke of our history. I let him continue his futile efforts until his constant presence began disrupting my classes. My patience finally snapped during his third interruption. I pulled him aside, paintbrush still in hand. Aaron, I'm not happy. Everything you do, it suffocates me. Your presence makes true happiness impossible. I took out the gift box from my pocket, placing his necklace in his trembling hands. Go back, Aaron. We're done. This time, he stood frozen, staring at the necklace, his face drained of color, lips quivering in the summer heat. His whole body shook as if caught in winter's grip. He tried to speak several times before pressing his lips into a thin line. We stood in silence until Aaron finally crumpled to the ground. I'm sorry, he whispered, and I knew he finally understood. He once said my happiness was his reason for living. Now that I was unhappy, his purpose had vanished. He knew we could never return to what we were. As I watched him walk away alone, relief flooded through me. Without his presence clouding my path, my future stretched before me, bright and full of possibility.